Greetings and salutations. Felt called to pull a few cards, record for a moment. Definitely been moving through a lot recently, well, not just recently, I think the last few years, really, you know, as life tends to do, it ebbs, it flows. You have those moments where things just are smooth and everything is clear, and then you have other moments where things might not be as smooth, might not be as clear, although sometimes a lot of clarity comes in those moments too. And I think that's kind of where I find myself, where receiving a lot of clarity, on a lot of different things within kind of the same theme I've been talking about recently. And just in connection with people, right? Within my partnership, within the relationship with my family, within friendships, my relationship to myself, just a lot has been coming up, and a lot of clarities, a lot of realizations have been coming through, especially when related to, this idea of freezing, which I've talked about like a lot recently. This idea of kind of freezing in that moment or not just in that moment, but when faced with the opportunity to connect, freezing in that moment and avoiding vulnerability, because there has been a lot moving through, there's been a lot being experienced, and wanting deeply, desiring deeply to be able to connect and express and share the things that are moving through, but then at the same time freezing, in that idea of being vulnerable and opening up and truly trusting people to hold space for me. So realizing that a lot of the freeze is avoidance of being vulnerable, avoidance of letting people in, as much as I want it, as deeply as I desire it. It's just recognizing all the ways that I haven't been opening myself truly to that, in the different ways that, it's presenting, just like it's very isolating, and just realizing that I have been the one isolating myself. I have been the one that has been pulling back and holding back, and this is like across the board, in maybe 95% of my friendships, there's just been this deep state of freeze, and I think through everything that's been coming out, and the anger that has been felt, and still feeling that there's a lot, that is ready to move through. Just recognizing that freezing, and the ways that I'm so a lot of that for me has been coming through, a lot of those realizations, and then also the realization that not the realization, but just kind of being in that space of awareness, but not yet taking that action forward, so setting the intention for myself to take that action forward, to reach out, to reach out to people, not to avoid, yeah. Yeah, and to be open, it's like, actually just recently a friend of mine had called me earlier in the morning, right? And just kind of, recounting some things that she had been moving through herself, and that same morning was super heavy for me. Like, actually not long before I was calling her back, because I had missed her call, but not long before I was calling her back, I was like literally in tears, feeling so much, but then pushing all of that down, calling her back, as if there was nothing, and I think parts of it was not really knowing, I guess, how to express the things that I was feeling. And yeah, it was just like a big moment of realization for me that, this was a moment and an opportunity for me to be vulnerable, to open up, to let someone in. And yes, I did not take that opportunity, and that's okay. I'm not holding anything against myself within that. I am loving myself within all of these realizations, and just grateful to be able to have them, and to please don't drink my blood, to be able to have these realizations, and to kind of have this path forward. And also knowing that I'm not the only person in the world that is moving through these same things, or similar things. Like, we are all moving through something, and just recognizing that in and of itself is something that connects us, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, like, within this process of learning myself more deeply and allowing myself to unearth more of myself more fully, like, I am giving myself grace, I'm being patient with myself, I'm being forgiving of myself, I'm not holding anything against me, I'm trusting that all of this is coming through now in this moment as it's meant to, and I'm just allowing for that, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to be in this space, as heavy as it might be, as painful as a lot of the moments have been. I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to know the human beings that I know, and to truly feel that support, even when I'm not reaching out, like, just energetically knowing, and trusting in that connection that can't be severed, because we are all connected so deeply, and that's not something that can ever be severed, not something that can ever be broken. We might kind of slip in and out of awareness with that truth, but it's something that's always there, yeah. Whew. So yes, I'm going to pull a card and see what message comes through in this moment. Definitely had not anticipated all of that flowing through. But grateful for the time and the space, grateful for you. that is listening in this moment, allowing me to take up some of your time and space. Thank you for sharing in this energy, for helping to co-create it, right? Because whatever is being moved and felt and all that's flowing is a co-creation of all the beings that have interacted with this, you know. So giving gratitude for your light, for your magic, for all the energy that you bring. Setting the intention in this moment just to connect in with the energy of this space, just to breathe into the energy of this moment, opening up the heart space and expanding that light within, allowing it to reach far and wide. Holding this space with all the beings present across time and space. Just connecting in with this energy of peace, of love, of forgiveness, of truth. Just embracing that, expanding that. And just setting the collective intention to call in the message that's in the greatest and highest good for all. I'm gonna hold on to those, but I still feel like I wanna. All right, wise one. Grow within your current situation. Yes. You know, that's what's being asked of us always, right? This is always something that is being asked of us, to grow within whatever space it is we find ourselves, right? I keep hearing all these rustlings in the bushes, and I know there's different like animals and stuff around. I just wish I could see, you know, but trusting in the unknown. I'm trusting, I'm being present in this moment. I'm here. But yes, wise one, grow within your current situation. And then the other two that had fallen out, kind of, spring, see your seeds grow, and peacekeeper, let go of the need to be right, you know? Yeah. I think sometimes that, not sometimes, quite often, it's our need to be right that kind of exacerbates conflict, you know? Yeah. You don't have to convince anyone of anything. You don't need to defend yourself or your position, right? Stand in your truth, stand where you are, and just allow that to be, allow that to speak for itself, right? There's no need to push or force your truth on anyone else, right? Spring, see your seeds grow. Yeah, trust that the work that you're putting in, it's not for nothing, right? Allow yourself to recognize all the ways that the work you've been putting in is materializing in the external, you know? Trust that the work you're doing is not for naught, you know, and sometimes it might take a while before we're able to see things clearly, you know, to truly recognize you know, what it all has been for. But trusting in the process. You know? I'm just gonna read this one if I can find the book. Which I can't. Oh, yeah, wise one. Grow within your current situation. Knuckle down, be reliable and committed. Be open to wisdom and insights from your elders. The wise one represents the wisest aspect of the goddess, the crone. In paganism and modern Wicca, the crone is the fiercest, most psychic, and most aware aspect of the goddess because she has been through many of life's challenges and overcome many setbacks. On this card, the raven in her hands represents the capacity to overcome the darker times and be reborn again and again. So she helps you to tap into wisdom to overcome whatever life throws at you. Wisdom being the information stored in your soul rather than the knowledge acquired in this lifetime, and to learn from the experience of your elders. And I think that's an important point to go on, right? Wisdom being the information stored in your soul rather than the knowledge acquired in this lifetime. I think so often we rely so heavily on logic, right? On the things that make sense, right? On this idea that there's a certain sequence or formula to the way that things work, right? But trusting that the wisdom that you're seeking actually comes from within you, right? That's wisdom that you came into this life with, right? Stored in your DNA, right? And it's through connecting with that self, through sitting with yourself, through meditation, through breath work, through whatever your process is, through art, through music, through creation, right? Whatever it is your process is, wherever it is you feel that connection to that wisdom within, right? That is the wisdom. That is the true wisdom that we should be seeking guidance with, right? By going within ourselves, not within our mind, right? Because there's been so much conditioning of the mind. Definitely, yes, 100%. Our mind has value, right? Our ability to process the knowledge that we are receiving is absolutely important, yes, but we cannot too heavily rely on it, right? Trusting in the body, right? And trusting that your body is intelligent, right? There is a deep wisdom held within every cell in your being, right? Within your bones. So connecting in with that wisdom, you know. The wisdom of the wise one is based on something that the younger generation is often lacking: commitment and reliability. When this card appears, you're being guided to continue working on your growth and expansion within your current situation. Be committed to your tasks and projects. It can be very easy to get bored or overwhelmed, but persevere. You're being reminded of how it feels to be let down and experience unreliability. And that's not who you were born to be. So keep working on what you're working on, because it's going to be extremely beneficial for you in the long run. Yeah. Keep moving forward, right? Yeah. And with that, I believe I am complete. Sending so much love, gratitude. calling in peace, calling in love, calling in liberation for all beings in all places. We are all worthy of peace, of love, of liberation, freedom. Freedom for all people in all places.